All right, so you're a woodworking business owner, you're trying to make some money with your skill set, but you've been in a sales slump. So you've been struggling to get stuff sold, getting people to say yes. How do you get out of a sales slump? In today's video, I'm gonna walk you through it. Let's dive in. All right, well, welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm so glad that you're here, and I really do want to honor your time because you could be anywhere and you chose to hang out with me and learn on this channel. And so thank you for being here. If you have not yet subscribed, be sure to do that. I'm your host, Zach Vaught. Many of you already know this, but for those of you that don't know, I started my woodworking business in my garage back in 2017, struggled for a long time. Learned some business principles around marketing and sales and fulfillment and scaling operations, and that really took us to the moon. We were doing about $70,000 last year in 2023 before we sold that business for a nice six-figure profit. So with that, I want to help you. If you're in a sales slump and your woodworking business, let me walk you through what you need to do. Okay, so number one, if you're in a sales slump, the number one thing that I do anytime that I've been in a sales slump, and by the way, I've been in a lot of them, is go back to the basics. There was a training or there was something that you learned somewhere along the way that helped you, and that was helping you get where you're trying to go. And what happens sometimes is we feel like we get a little bit smarter than the training. We feel like we get a little bit more clever than the training, and sometimes that throws us off. So it's very good to go back to the absolute basics and keep it simple. Go back to what the conversations need to look like, what they need to sound like. The main thing that you want to do in a sales environment is you want to build value and you want to pull out objections. Okay, so we want to build value of why the product is worth more than what we're actually selling it for. That's our goal. And then we want to, when we give the price, we want to identify the objections. Is it a pricing objection? Are our lead times too long? Is it that they want it in 3 weeks and I can't get it to them in 6 weeks? Is it that they don't have the money at the times? Can I offer financing? These are all the objections that we're trying to pull out. What I want to just remind you of is that you want to be talking with people that have objections. You're like, okay, well, I don't want to handle objections. I want them to just say yes. This is how I started to think when I was getting started in sales, because I didn't feel comfortable handling objections. But ideally, the thing to remember here is that people that aren't going to buy don't have objections. But people that are seriously considering buying, they're going to have questions. They're going to have reasons in their mind. Their logical brain is telling them why they shouldn't buy. So anytime that I give a quote or anytime I get to the numbers side of things, I always want to say, what are your thoughts on that? How are you feeling about that? Is that price somewhere within the budget that you had for a project like this? I want to be pulling out the objections and figuring out really quickly once I give a quote, are we in the ballpark or are we not? And can I work with that? So number one is just to go back to the basics. The other thing that I'll say here is that a really good salesperson lets the other person or the prospect do most of the talking and you're just asking questions. I see too many guys as salespeople overwhelm and bombard the prospect with information and they're talking about stuff that doesn't matter. In the woodworking space, for example, we are the worst at this. I'm going to throw us all under the bus. You know all about the tools, you know all about the wood, you know all about the joinery. The customer, most of the time, they just want a pretty table, right? They just want something that's pretty. That's all that they know or care about. So we start diving into, yeah, I'm going to build it using this joinery technique, or I'm going to use this really awesome kind of wood or whatever. They don't know anything about that or care anything about it. So build value on what they care about, right? So typically in the furniture industry in particular, the customers that you're talking to, they care about, can I customize it? Can I get it any size, any length, any width, any color that I want? Can I get it in the timeline that I want it? Can you deliver it to me? They're a convenience buyer. They want it to be easy. So these are the things that your buyers care about. So quit overwhelming them with information that they don't know anything about or care anything about just because it makes you feel smart, but tell them the things that they care about and walk them through the value and build value in their minds, okay? Just a reminder here, wealthier people, which hopefully you're trying to sell to, tend to really value speed and convenience, okay? So instead of just trying to build value in the product, be sure to build value in the process. I'm going to walk with you every step of the way. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to design this with you. I'm going to be communicating with you, letting you know where we're at in the process. And then I'm going to be scheduling free delivery to your door. And we're going to actually carry this inside of your home and set it down in your dining room area for you. You're not going to have to worry anything about it. Wealthier people really value convenience, okay? And so be sure to build value around those things in your sales process, okay? So how do you get out of a sales slump? Go back to the basics, build value, pull objections out. And the other thing here is ask for the sale. This is where everybody goes wrong, is they get nervous and they don't ask for the sale. And if you've done everything right and they've asked a bunch of questions and you've answered all of their questions with reasonable solutions, that's when we say, hey, well, if you don't have any more questions, everything's good on my end. Would you like me to go ahead and get this submitted for you? Would you like to go ahead and put a deposit down and get in line? asking for the sale is huge, okay? And if you haven't built value, and if you haven't handled objections, it doesn't ever make sense to ask for the sale because you haven't done your job. But if you've built a ton of value, if they seem okay with the price, you've answered their questions, it's okay to ask for the sale. Just looking at this on my end, I'm good. Do you have any other questions for me, or are you ready to go ahead and get started with this? That's a very natural way to go ahead and wrap up the sale and go ahead and get a deposit and start moving forward with the client. By the way, guys, if you have a woodworking business, this is where everything either lives and thrives or goes to die. If you cannot get sales inside of your woodworking business as the woodworking business owner, your business isn't gonna last long. You've got to be able to get sales. Okay, another thing with this is you got to be able to get more leads than you're currently getting. I talk to woodworkers literally almost every single day of my life. They are all facing the exact same challenge, which is that they don't have enough leads. Everybody inside of our space struggles with getting more leads. So you need to fix your lead problem as well. If you want to get more sales, you need more leads. And so that's one of the things that we help with inside of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program. So to wrap this up, getting out of a sales slump, make sure you go back to the basics, you build value, you pull out objections, and you ask for the sale. And so if this video was helpful for you, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Would love to know any other sales tips as well that you would give your fellow man out there that might help them. So real quick, just before you go, a couple resources for you. Number one is the Handmade Business Secrets ebook. That's about a 100-page book that I wrote outlining my journey to scaling my woodworking business. It's totally free to you. Just click on the link in the description below, go and enter your first name and your email, and we're going to send that to you and you can check that out. Number two is the Handmade Hero Academy program. It's a low-cost investment to learn the skills you need to get started. If you're a newbie and you're trying to just dip your toes in this thing, but you want a guide, be sure to check that out. And lastly, if you're really serious about growing and scaling your woodworking business, be sure to check out the Woodworking Business Accelerator program. We've got almost 50 guys in that program as of today. They're all doing incredible things in scaling and growing their woodworking businesses. And guys that are coming in their first month are doing $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in sales their very first month inside of our program. And so there's no reason that that couldn't be you as well. So with that being said, guys, I really appreciate your time as always, and I'll see you in the next one.